to regular meeting of the Commission of Court of Kaufman County. Today is Monday, November 14th. We have a quorum present, so we will go ahead and begin the meeting in just a moment. If you have an item on the agenda that you wish to speak to, please fill out a form. They're located on the desk behind Chief Beavers, and give that to Ms. Hughes, our county clerk, and or her deputy there, and so right over here, and we will begin. I've asked Commissioner Shane to give the result, to give the prayer.
Pledge allegiance.
And I'll ask you to do the pledge of allegiance. That's okay. So we'll stand now.
Will y'all pray with me? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we again just first always want to thank you for our many blessings. We just thank you for blessing us to live in a free country, that we can have laws and do things and do the business of our great county, and that we have people that are our caretakers, and they're our first responders and our policemen, that they always are in harm's way, and also the soldiers of our great nation, that you send them home safely to their families in their town. We just ask you again to thank you for this meeting, and just what we do will be good in your sight. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thanks very much. Do we have anyone that has completed the form? All right, we'll move right on into the agenda. I don't have any routine correspondence to give out. I would make note that we will be having, there was an addendum that was sent out later in the week concerning an executive session, and we will do that at the very end of the meeting after we're through the regular meeting, and so it's attached as well to the resolution of the lawsuit. And so item number 2 is the acceptance of the regular meeting minutes for October 10th, October 24th, special meeting minutes for October 25th and October 28th, 2016. B is to discuss and consider deputation of Mary Ann Drummoy as deputy clerk of the county clerk's office. And then C is to review the report from the public power pool electricity. And you have the meeting minutes, and you also have the information on the deputation of Mary Ann Drummoy. And I just wanted to make a quick mention of the E3, that's our electricity provider. They're not the wires company, they're the people we buy our electricity from. And we remember we signed a contract several months ago, maybe, I'm not even sure exactly when it was, but you'll notice that it has gone down quite a bit, and this was per our contract. And you can compare, of course, November in 2016 and December 2016 for this year are estimates, of course, but if you look at the kilowatt hour charge, you'll notice that that's the fourth column over. You'll notice that this year it lines up at 0.0482, and then next year, beginning on January of this coming year, 2017, it drops a full cent to 0.0383, and you can see the cost savings they are projecting over the next 12 months, and then what will be in 2018. The contract also goes through 2019, so we're locked in with them, but of consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Okay.
Commissioner Allen makes a motion, Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. The next item is discuss and consider a map endorsement agreement between Kaufman County and Liberty Marketing Company to publish a 3-foot by 2-foot new full color edition of the Kaufman County maps on a 60-pound enamel paper. And the DA's office has had a chance to look at this agreement, and it does not cost the county anything. So if we all would like to stick to it, it's
Well, the only thing that I did do is just make a few edits to qualify that it's not representative of the official Kaufman County map. I sent you guys that update via email, so you got it. And I would ask the board, if they're considering accepting it, that they would accept the contract with those revisions that make that stipulation. But other than that, I didn't really have any comments on the simple agreement that they sent over.
Well, I have a discussion for you. On the last, didn't we set out, or the revision?
This is the revised copy. If you have a red one, it's not going to be the same.
Okay.
Let me do the easy a little bit. But you may be talking about a different paragraph. The main revision comes right here. It just says that they would have a qualifying statement that says that the map's not produced by Kaufman County and that it's not representative of our official map. Other than that, if a private company would like to produce a map of Kaufman County, they're welcome to
Do you think it would be in our best interest on this last line here,
to change
where it
the,
says Liberty Marketing will not go to print until Liberty Marketing has approval of Kaufman County, Texas? Shouldn't we inject Commissioner's Court and Mapping Department? I think Gates needs to review this before they print it to get it as accurate as we can, because there's gonna be a lot of people look at that and they say, well, this is a county road, you know.
yeah, and that's the purpose of the qualifying statement, but my assumption is that if it comes to the county to be looked at for map quality, then that would go to the department that does that. But if you would want to add that, I don't see any problem with it. I haven't corresponded with them, so I don't even know.
I think it would be clear that they need to coordinate with the mapping department to get it as accurate as possible.
And, I mean, like I said, I haven't talked to the project director, all the judges sent it over to us to add any additional language, so I think at this time we could add whatever we wanted, really, and see what we want to do.
I think,
I'll
Say
get,
this is not an official map.
I'll get, yeah, I don't say that.
yeah,
It's gold letters so that everybody knows, look at it,
Yeah.
it's an advertisement map.
The judge had stated that in previous years, the map had been printed, people had called and said, oh, is it an official map? And we had to make it say, no, it's not, so,
that needs to be on the map, both.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think that the mapping department needs to be engaged in the production thing.
And we've referred these folks that they would need to coordinate through the mapping department, but it's not that.
Can't go wrong if it's in writing.
Yeah.
We'll add it,
Okay. Any other suggestions or ideas before we vote?
We'll make it so that you say that,
You make the motion so that we work it the way you like.
Okay, make a motion that we endorse the map produced by Liberty Marketing with the addition on the last paragraph to include, will print with approval of Kaufman County Commissioner's Court and Kaufman GIS Mapping Department.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. I'm sorry.
Karen and I are slightly hesitant, we don't want to
Use
endorse
the
that
language that
map in
we're
any way,
endorsing it, but we just,
or giving them approval to print it. That's all we're doing.
That's what it says, and they would approve.
Okay. So just want to make sure that the motion's clarified.
it says, yeah, it's super strong. Right there. You say it's
Right. Matter of
Kaufman County.
It says Liberty Marketing will not go to print until Liberty Marketing has approval from Kaufman County Commissioner's Court and GIS Mapping Department.
Okay.
That clarifies
number 12, out of time. Judge Riley has to be in Dallas in a short time.
Sure.
And so if we could do that.
Absolutely.
Do y'all mind?
No, I don't know, we'll just move out around time to time. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and skip down to item number 12, and that is to discuss and consider implementation of a collections improvement program.
Can I come up and approach Jeff?
Sure, absolutely.
The only thing is I wanted Laura here, and because this is something we need to talk about. We've talked about it with the judges, and I don't know if I've even talked to you guys about this, because the judges, and David Daniels here from probation, and I know there's other interest, Mr. Oldfield's had this program that's coming up that has to be implemented in January. So I think it's a good time to at least discuss what the judges have invited me. Mr. Daniel, you can hear me, or you're welcome to come up, because right now our system for collection is the county clerk collects from the misdemeanor courts, and David from the probation collects fine and court costs for the district courts. And it seems like that's been a great thing. It works great. We have had from different times through the history since I've been here as a judge since 2003 that Laura Hughes has been the county clerk the whole time, and she has collected. Then I think, Judge, when you came in, and maybe even Jim, when you came in, we had a collection department, and then we disbanded that, and Ms. Hughes took it back. Ken remembers that we've gone back and forth with that, and now we're back with Laura. There has been now a change in the way that the collection has to be performed. And if I'm boring y'all, I've already heard all this before, stop me.
Now, put it on record.
What was that?
I said, put it on record.
Put it on record. So we have a different collection improvement program that the rules have been amended since January, will be in effect January 1st, 2007. And I could go in great detail, but I would think that David agrees with me. It is the primary goal is to provide procedures that will help the defendants comply with court order costs, fines, and fees without imposing undue hardship on defendants and their dependents. It sounds great, but as usual, something comes from Austin that sounds great, but what it really means is if it was that easy, Mr. Daniels would keep it and Laura would keep it, but it's going to have to really create more programs for folks that are in it, or if they claim to be in it. There's more court work that's going to be involved because the judges are going to have more industry hearings along the way. So that's changing. Just to give you an idea, as a prosecutor now, but before as a judge, we would enter an agreement, and I didn't much think about the payment plan, how it was set up. I would just sign that order and get it done. As a prosecutor, that's what they're doing now. And then that was offloaded to the clerk's office, which is not the clerk's office, or probation, and they would collect it. They would figure out what their income was, they'd work out a payment plan. But this is a deal where if the defendant literally says, I'm indigent King X, and you look at what the guidelines are, we can't impose them to make the payment. I mean, I could say it's an unfunded mandate. It sounds righteous that we should make indigent people pay, but there might be borderline cases where people are motivated generally to pay. So we have to have now programs for people, community supervision programs for people to work off, which we will be involving. Oh, great, there's Laura. We will be working off some of the court costs and fines, maybe with Precinct 1 or Precinct 4. We've done that in the past before, called on y'all to do those things, but this is not going to be something slip slide. It's very involved. There's a training coming up November 30th. So Laura's looked at it, perfect timing, and we have looked at it. She met with the judges. She could see this coming. David met with the judges 6 and 9 months before. They saw all this coming down, that it was going to get passed. They could see the chatter on what was happening with, as you guys get, you're on an email chain. They knew it was coming. We had our head in the sand for a long time and said, well, maybe it's not going to come, but it did. And so here we are, and it's going to be effective. Totally understand. Laura's office is like, there's no way we can continue to do this with the manpower and the staff we have, with all the other work, because she did not get new people. She absorbed that within her office staff. The same thing for David. So they're just saying, and they can really speak more of what they believe, because you talked to Chad, right, Laura?
Yes.
And I know David has too. I have not got a chance. I think you've reached out to him in an email. And Chad is over the state indigent defense or collection department, however what the title is.
within the Office of Court Administration, Chad Graff is this region's basically liaison. And we've been reaching out to him since really all of this came up back in the budget workshops in August and September. And Austin has had a really difficult time implementing the rules and training to even decide how to train and how this program should be implemented. So even though we've been reaching out asking for that, the earliest it's available to us is November 30th. So that's why we're kind of here at this point. And we just got this information since the last Commissioner's Court. So we're kind of in one of those, we just sort of, we have the information now, we'll begin on November 30th to really start taking the action that we need to implement all of the new rule guidelines.
But your question has to be from y'all, why do you care, right? But it's because if they're not going to do it, then we have to go back to the statute that says who's going to do it. And the statute allows on this collection function, the district and county attorneys, clerks of the district and county courts, the sheriff, constables, JPs may collect money payable under this title. Community Supervision Corrections Department is what that does, and the county treasurer may collect money payable under this title with the written approval of the clerk. So you have what is written that gives authority. If none of those folks can do it, then the clerk can convey authority to the treasurer, the corrections department, and the community supervision office. So if none of us would do it, and the district, I think I can feel comfortable speaking for Rhonda because she was at that meeting. She doesn't have the staff or the space with these people. So why it's important is it's going to create something else that we're going to have to separately fund to comply with the statute. And these guys are telling me from having done it that it's going to require, he's got somebody in his office that's going to require a collection person from JP, county court, and district. That's 3 people. And I think y'all made a contingency in the budget for the amount. Laura said she would give me a budget when she got a chance, which I think she was out last week, sick. You feel better?
I'm there.
Good. And so when she gets that to me, it's something I wanted to put it today to consider, and maybe when we have the special session that y'all are going to have, we can vote on it. But just to tell you that the judges had invited me to the meeting, and David, and kind of, I would say they tricked me and asked me to do this. And I mean, I can do it. I mean, I think over time, this is something that once we get it going, like anything else, I think it'll be fine. And we might can turn it over to somebody else. Laura feels very strongly, we talked on the phone last week, that it would be okay, it should go with me, it needs to, because I'm thinking, well, we can get somebody else to do it, because you need to have somebody that's accountable to the public. Or people that are upset about the collections department, I guess it's going to fall on me. And because I'm like, well, can't we just have it be run by the commissioners? And like, that's a little vague in the beginning. Isn't that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, it needs to start with the district attorney. The way our courts are done, the district attorney's office is going to be key in making this program successful. With the DA and the judge working together, they can set it up and it will be fairly easy to run. But without their participation, it would not work.
And there's wording in the new rules that says if during the plea process there is a standardized payment plan that's set up, the offender can be placed on that standardized payment plan. If they dispute that they're not able to make that standardized payment plan, then if during the plea process that issue is addressed and addressing their conditions, then a lot of the rules can kind of be placed on the back burner where things don't have to happen. All of that occurs through the DA's office because we have zero contact, Laura has zero contact with them prior to them being placed on probation.
You see how this happened?
Lucky.
You see how all this happened? I was just in a meeting, thought I was there, being invited to lunch. Then I was targeted. I missed the whole thing. I wouldn't show up. But I do appreciate their counsel because I had some concerns about doing this to start with. And Laura feels strong about it being addressed in the beginning. So does David. And they're saying, hey, we're not going to jump ship on you. We just can't do it in our office. I don't know. In my office, there's no space, so I have no idea. We can come back to you with some specific ideas. I can look at the budget. There might be a spot of groups. I think it would be good, since we are obviously prosecuting the same defendants, to have a different storefront, even though I'm the one that's responsible for these staff people ultimately. And I wanted y'all to know that so you can see it coming. We want to at least have that conveyed, I guess, to me before the 30th, so I can an attorney down there to make sure that we understand the implementation, even though we will not have time to staff it back there. And David said he'd go as well with Karen.
Judge, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
During budget time, we kind of talked about possibly, having the treasurer's office also help in this because he is supposed to collect all monies due to Kaufman County. And, is there a possibility that you and him could?
Well, he will
work
be
together in
receiving that money like all
Yes.
monies, for sure.
That's what I'm.
But there's only gonna be one, person that's gonna be over that, and it's gonna happen in the court. But any help I can get from Mr. Oldfield, just like I'm getting help from probation still, or the clerk's office, I certainly value that. But I think to make certain, I think what they're saying, and I'm not as, not very professional, so I'm not as trained up as I wish that I was. I mean, I wish I was more knowledgeable, and I'm not. So I certainly don't want the same thing to misrepresent. But what we're seeing, and the reason I think that Laura, and I think the same thing about David, and Karen's looked at it, is if we can front load the work. So I understand that my prosecutor's not going to be happy. If we can front load the work in court and have the judge come up with a plan. So now part of the negotiations is not going to just be the punishment and just the fine, but we're going to have to make certain that this person is agreeable and make a good record on that, particularly down in this community court. So when we come back from that training in November, then we're going to in turn train the prosecutors, and then we're going to in turn train the judges, and we're going to try to have some standardized things. In that arena, Mr. Oldfield might be very helpful on the back end of that, but on the front end of that, just like David and Laura are saying, they're not going to be in court. So that creates the problem. I hadn't thought about it again, as this being something else to put on my plate. But when the judges,
See what our options are.
hey, you know, you got a better one? You know what I mean? I'm not just anchoring.
I know we discussed that.
Yeah, we
in the
did.
budget.
Yeah, y'all, I might have missed that. I apologize, but again, having other people helping in the process
That's what I think we
never,
gotta do is
never.
cooperate and help each other here.
Yeah.
So,
And the rules do make exceptions where restitution to a victim is not impacted.
Yes.
Probation fees are not impacted. RUA cost isn't impacted. And I had mentioned to Judge Wyoming when she got ambushed at the judges meeting, as we were meeting, I mentioned, since those aren't impacted, they're not governed by the rules, I can maintain those in my department, because with restitution, we have to track it, we have to cut the checks, we've got to send them out. So, and then the probation fees is my funding. So I can maintain it where everything's not going to be going, but except the fines, the court costs, DPS fees, things along those lines. So I'm still going to be staying with that part that is exempted to kind of do as much as I can.
And Commissioner Shane, you mentioned Mr. Oldfield. If he's here, he might have something he wants to add. I mean, this is not a one-person show. If he's in the room, I don't know if he.
Oh, I didn't know it was in here.
Yeah, if he, we don't need to talk about it. If he's here, we can talk to him.
Well, you know, the training November 3rd, so they'll have handouts and things, so I'd love to get a copy of that.
Absolutely.
That way I don't have to go to learn. And anything y'all need in terms of designing a system that works, you know, I'm certainly willing to help.
Well, that's good to know, because we will, when we bring that information back and we have the training, and we have the training with other folks, we'll be sure to include you in that, we'll do the material, but sometimes what you hear people say is important as the materials that you receive. And I appreciate you wanting to help, because it seems like, I think like any new thing, it starts out, it can seem cumbersome, but once we figure out how to make it work smooth, it'll be just like any other change. The big thing, of course, for us, because we're still in the prosecution business, and people in Austin sometimes forget that the local, what our ideas are. And that is, if there's a person that's able to pay, we want them to pay, because the fine is important for the punishment on the offense. Might even be important to make the victim whole, okay, on the restitution. But we do not want the abuse of people gaming the system, using this new entity and not paying. It could impact, I think, in the first year, money that we get for fine and court costs. So we have to be very mindful of how we are trained, because I believe, like anything, there's a technique. If you are truly indigent, you don't need to pay, but then there's a program that we can put you in, and in an indirect way, that will be a cost that is gonna come down, because it's something in the county that we're gonna get a volunteer to do, kind of volunteer, but that'll happen. But for the other folks that are borderline and want to pay, because some people don't want to volunteer, that we could encourage them with the right training to continue to pay. That's what we really want to be sure. And if the court is involved in the beginning, the judge is very persuasive in those if the person's a borderline case. I've found that to be true here on the bench.
Judge Wiley, I'd like to be included in.
Very good, Karen. Thanks.
Just because that's gonna change the revenue coming on her side to maybe another revenue line item that we have to set up. Laura had submitted a budget to me,
Oh, good.
but it was after the fact that I'd already got the number that the judge had told me just to make a placeholder for it, so we can move some money around. And, I mean, we have to have some computers, we have to have some software,
Right.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
there's gonna be some cost to initially get started.
But realize what they're gonna give you is only because of what balance did presently not
Right.
take on the felony.
You all understand that? Because that's the thing, the whole thing that we've had, the whole system that we have, is really going to be pushed to that. But the good thing is I know Dave will help with the restitution. He might actually be able to help in some of the community supervision options for the offenders who are looking at a repayment plan if they're unable to pay. Because we don't want folks to say, I'm indigent and nothing happens. Okay, you're indigent, but you're able to buy it. Hence, you've got to do something.
Larry, you said this related to financial court costs.
Restitution.
Not
restitution.
Not restitution.
Not restitution, it's fine.
DPS lab fee, it's whenever DPS sends some drugs off for testing and confirmation, then that can be added to their, sentence where they have to reimburse DPS that. It's not actual restitution, it's just repayment of that.
So those reimbursements are gonna be affected too? You're not, yeah, I got you.
And I know the treasurer, you were interested in helping maybe with some of the programs.
And that's exactly the segue I was looking for to jump in. I think that's the other leg of this.
Absolutely.
Is to make sure that for any defendant or any,
No, defendant's the right word.
any defendant has adequate, geographically accessible places to perform their community service.
Absolutely.
And because, you know, again, well, no, they'll have all manners of reasons of why the things that we have don't work. So I think we'll have to have a menu where it's almost 6 days a week, almost in every precinct. We've got somewhere identified that you can plug in, because that will be the next leg of it.
Certainly.
Oh, I don't have the money to travel. You know, I'm date restricted.
Well, date restricted on probation, we don't care about
Well, I mean,
that. Just so you know.
yeah, but again, maybe working and gainfully employed, but
I agree with you.
because of family obligations, and those things are still indigent.
Absolutely.
So, this, I can see it being a big deal, and I'm not much of a social media person, but I know people that are, and this is a big topic on social media in Kaufman County now. So the people that are being impacted by it, they are already planning to game the system, if we wanted to say that. So my hat's off to y'all that be in the trenches of getting these templates that start to work.
We can't wait to bring it back and share it with the county. And I don't know if this was a discussion, it's also to consider, I don't know if we have real numbers to have anything that y'all want to take action on, or if y'all want to wait for the special.
What we have with the next agenda item actually is talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking about approving any necessary budgetary and county organization packages.
We haven't done that.
And I don't know whether we're to that point or.
We really are today, we really are trying to put together the numbers, and I think Laura's helping us with that somewhat. Karen is helping us with the numbers, okay. And so I think we have a special setting next Monday, I believe, to cover some other areas. And so we were thinking about trying to get the numbers together this week to at least have something to present.
Will that work for you guys?
Well, we're gonna have to tally the votes, or not tally, what do they call it?
Canvas.
Canvas votes.
I'll never forget that word.
And that'll be, we don't have to have two commissioners to do that, but we're gonna go ahead and post it as a regular meeting.
Okay.
And then we can go into a workshop.
Well, and this shouldn't really take very long. We'll give Karen with what Laura had provided her, but we're just actually gonna add in another employee because Mr. Daniel is also choosing at the time, not to do this too because of the staff. And so-
Yeah, I think in the original budget that we approved, I think I only put 2 employees with their expenses and a little bit for equipment, so I'm gonna have to rehandle that.
I think it's around 75,000.
Yes, sir, it was pretty close to that.
How many employees are we gonna be?
I think
Well,
we said 3.
Well, what they suggested to me is each entity that we're collecting, the JP, the county courts and the district courts, and hopefully that there'll be more, one of those people that's gonna be supervisory, so they can double task. I mean, they can kind of manage and take an assignment as well. So we don't need to come in with 4 people, that's silly, but that's why I'm doing it. But if one of the people can have an understanding that's done this before, I don't know who we'll find, but somebody that's worked in the courts, done some collection might be helpful.
And one thing to keep in mind is these positions, they're not just collecting fees and stuff like that. If an offender falls behind, I think it's 60 days in their fines or court costs, then that employee has to do a financial assessment with the offender to develop a budget, and then that case has to be returned to the court for review. And so it's not just gonna be them sitting there processing money orders, they're gonna have to be doing that on the people that are behind and they start
All the time. So we all
It is
have
gonna be
to work
time
together.
consuming, that person is gonna have to be the person that does that financial assessment. You bring up a bullet point, David, they're gonna have to be at a higher functioning, and they're gonna have to be somebody that's gonna be credible ultimately in court. So that's the kind of person we're talking about. So that one person that's gonna take an assignment should be in a supervisory role, so that's gonna be a little bit different. Because obviously, I can't go down there and do that, it's conflict.
Okay, so the motion would be to consider the implementation of the election improvement program.
Yes,
That would be headed by the district attorney,
Yes, sir, that would be the motion.
which would be another opportunity for service for you.
I live to serve Kaufman County. All I do.
Gentlemen, do you have any other questions for DA and Karen?
Well, we're gonna know a whole lot more after the meeting too.
Right on 30th, yes, sir. But I will tell you, these guys already know because they've been, and I'll say that, David and Laura have been reading and following this as it's evolving. They knew it was gonna be kind of crazy, because that's how why they got out of it, you see what I'm saying? Because they could see that it was gonna be very labor intensive for an office that was already doing a function that they really didn't have the manpower.
So I think it was back in June, I mean.
Yeah, this is not new, it's here, and if I'm gonna do it, we gotta make a decision, because we gotta go down there and get some training so we can bring it back to our county.
And the Office Support Administration has not been very giving.
For us, it hasn't been, I know Laura's more pleasant on Chad, but I think he's probably overwhelmed with this new implementation, so to ask him to come here might be a little much. He's like, go there, get it, and then if you have questions, we'll deal with it. And I mean, that, and to be fair, he's got the whole region, his area.
All right, I believe we have a motion from Commissioner Shane. Do we have a second? Do we have any other questions from anybody? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for taking me out of work.
Sure, let's go ahead and move on to item
Thanks, David, for
13.
coming.
And I believe we can table. All in favor? All right, now going back to where we were with Lisa Callahan, our purchasing director, to discuss and consider purchasing a 2017 U713 dump truck for Road and Bridge Precinct Number 2 with a repurchase option for the fifth purchase of property. Contract number 02-102314. Okay.
Yes, sir, this is no different from the other precincts that do the buyback program on these dump trucks. Commissioner leasing a truck for about $1,000 a month, and we're guaranteed to buy back under the TIPS program. Worked in the past for everybody else.
Wonderful program. Okay.
Make a motion.
Me?
That's your truck.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Shane, seconds. All in favor, say aye. Item number 5 is to discuss and consider purchasing a Chevrolet 2500 pickup over the bridge, precinct number 2 from Muscle Motors for $30,868.55.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips sold his other truck in the auction. It's still running and has a need for another one to replace it. Matter of fact, they're having to use, indicated to me, they're having to use personal vehicles this week after the person they come picked up at auction.
Hey, running out of trucks. But that's okay.
And we obtained several quotes from several different areas, and as you can see, the buy-board was actually cheaper, but they can't get the truck to us for several months. I mean, we're talking about 9 to 120 days, and they're already having to dip in and use personal vehicles to do this. So.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion.
I've got a motion. Commissioner Phillips, have a second. Commissioner Pollock, seconds. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Next is item number 6, Mr. Oldfield, the treasurer, to discuss and consider approving a revised county investment policy. Mr. Oldfield, I know you've worked hours on this, so we're glad to get it to the stage where we are.
Well, thank you, Judge, and a month ago, you all got a brown file folder with a copy of this in it.
Yes, sir.
In case that's not at your fingertips, here's a copy. Okay, well, and, you know,
I mean, this one has all signed it out, we can put our name in.
All right, let's see.
yeah, the one you received a month ago is, nothing's been changed. What you received a month ago was a fully ready to execute copy. And I received an email from Karen on Thursday that I forwarded to you that it appears that this complies with the Public Fund Investment Act. And if
Karen D.
Karen D. Karen Badgley. And, you know, if the court approves this, then I think the next discussion is to identify the other participants in the investment committee, and which is discussed on page 1. And then in the timing, I believe that we would set this up again for the first court meeting in January, so that that court could once again approve the investment policy, be prepared to name the other investment advisory committee member or members, and that we, you know, not take any different investment activity until that occurs. That, you know, because the investment officer, which is myself, and the investment committee brings suggestions to the Commissioner's Court. It is ultimately the Commissioner's Court that approves any investments that are made. So, to keep from putting anyone on the spot in December, setting policies and making decisions that are going to impact the new court, I think it'd be just prudent to get our policy in place, re-vote on it, first meeting in January, and then in the second meeting of January, come with some suggestions of what we might do to is their opportunity to get a little more interest than we receive. By taking advantage of primarily the fact that we've got road bond money that won't be used for up to 3 years. In the policy, there's no investment that we can make that would extend beyond 3 years. So when we've got that drawdown schedule on the road bonds, it shows that we can do, if nothing else, 3 years in CDs and banks on the road bond money. And I've done some analysis, and I think just with making prudent decisions with the road bond money drawdown, we can increase interest income quite substantially. Are there any questions, any comments?
On the investment, advisor, like you and the assets on them, they don't have to get a certificate on investment.
The county auditor and I are committee members, and yes, if there's someone that gets on the committee, they should go and take the Public Fund Investment Act.
Do you have that certificate?
I go to more. I go to about twice as many hours as I.
No, I've heard it, you know, because I know that.
And I'm sure Karen's the same.
I'm on a financial committee board, that, you know, require everybody to go to school. I'm just making sure that, I didn't notice them in here. But the new state laws, they all came out this year, they have a whole lot of the regulations on financial.
So, your recommendation is today that we go ahead and consider and pass this investment policy, and then come back and do the same thing in January.
Well, I think what we can do is if a member of the court that's going to be on in 2017, we could go ahead and get the investment committee set this year. And that will allow us to start looking at ideas so that when we do get to January and we have the new court, that we move expeditiously to make appropriate investments.
Okay, so the signature page that was on this folder that you gave us, is it the correct signature page that we need to approve? Okay, based on the information that our treasurer has given us, do I have a motion to accept this, and we have all of us need to sign. So what's your pleasure, gentlemen? Have a motion from Commissioner Allen. Does that have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gravalik, second. Motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, thank you, sir. And then the next item is with you as well, I believe, Mr. Oldfield, on the 7th, to receive and discuss a collection update, county treasurer regarding filing an Internal Revenue Service Form 843 to request refund back up with all the pay. I'll get that second.
And thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court. I sent a copy of this packet by email on Thursday to you. If anyone needs a copy, I have one here. I have one from the official record. And the official record has the different taxpayer identification numbers redacted. The copies that were sent to the court by email have those in there so that you can see, which is the key component of this filing, is we have taxpayer ID numbers for these people, or for these entities. And so page 1 of that packet is the Form 843. You can see it's a relatively straightforward form. We're declaring who we are. In box 2, we're declaring that we're requesting a refund of $129,884.14, and it's for the tax year January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2013, And in box 4, the type of penalty we've disclosed is 3402D, backup withholding. And we made those payments on 10, 16, and 15. I've started the explanation on page 1 and 2. You know, we walk through the agent that's going to handle this, who we are, and why we're contacting them. And what we're summarizing is we found 32 additional, we obtained 32 forms 4669. Karen McLeod, our auditor, did that work. And that the payments to those vendors total $436,979.08. And then we have found two Form W-9s that were in our STW system, where the vendors were declaring that they're C Corps or S Corps, and those should not have required backup withholding either. So that vendor total was $26,892.85. So we're telling them that we're claiming a refund of $129,884.14, which is 28% times the sum of $436,979.08 and $26,892.85. On the second page of the explanation, we've included a calculator tape that totals these two dollar amounts, and we've given the index numbers to their original list. The third page is the backup withholding tax worksheet. We identified those 56 items, vendor payments that they were assessing backup withholding on. We numbered those 1 through 56, and then we indexed pages 4 through 32, which are our documents. We indexed those back to the listing of 1 to 56, and tried to make a work paper that they can follow. And it's not something that was photocopies, but I'm showing y'all that here on the work paper that we're sending them, it's going to be in red. The first set of items are the ones with yellow highlight. We got a couple of pink highlights on there. So the agent that's looking at this, they'll scan this in once it comes to the mail center, and if their scanner will scan that color, then it's color-coded for them. It's about a 30-minute review process for them to go through this. And I will point out that I did not disclose this in my explanation. I thought it was immaterial. But if you look like on page 8, the number at the bottom, page 8, this is a 4669 that we received, and you can see on line 6B where I put the number 6 in a circle. That number is $2,635. On the list that the IRS prepared, that's $3,950. So just a little clerical wiggle. The taxpayer signed for the money, said they reported it. I've got a little stickum here, and I'll take that off. But if it's, you know, the service could correspond back with us and say, hey, we've detected these little wiggles here. But on balance, we've got a couple that are over, a couple that are under, and the net difference is just a few $100. We can always go and get a new 4669 if the IRS wants us to. But I don't anticipate that they will. I think we've fulfilled the intent of the regulation. We got the taxpayer to acknowledge that they reported the income. I'm thinking 16-week turnaround, okay, 120 days.
6 vendors here were the ones that we couldn't find originally.
Correct. And we've located, we're clearing 34 of those, Commissioner. So that leaves us 22 remaining. And, you know, we're just, now that it's just down to a 22 unit list, you know, daughter and I, we're just going to team up and just keep taking them on. See if we can't locate somebody and get the form in. But I see no reason to wait on the 129,000 right here. I think we proceed on with what we have and get this part of it right.
Okay. Very well.
Karen, do you have anything you want to add?
No, not at all.
One thing I was trying to add is, it's certainly up to the treasurer and the court, but I know that in the agreement that we have with the accounting CPA firm, Pfizer, Golden Pfizer, they did agree to review this form before it's filed free of charge, just to make sure everything's what they're doing for us, and this is all in sync. So it's just something that they have agreed to do, so it's up to you all if you all want them to. But it is a free service, and they agreed to, review that for us, and it's just up to the court.
And Karen, for me, thank you. That was my intent. I wanted, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure the court got the information first.
Absolutely.
And that they're good. Then yes, I'll backtrack and consult with those. I think it's Rick.
That's great.
There.
Yes, that's
And
great.
get by there sometime when it's mutually convenient. Sit with them for some review time.
That's
Gather
great.
any thoughts that they
I
might.
may have jumped the gun on
No,
that.
you're fine. It's a great segue.
What did we hire them to do a couple weeks ago?
We engaged them to complete a tax court petition. So they filed that as of last Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, it was due Wednesday. And that's the complete scope of the services right now. Now, they did add that they would complete the Form 843 review alongside, because we're kind of taking two paths at the same time. We want to make sure they match up, like Karen's saying.
But the fee is capped, there's a flat fee that is capped at that $3,060, and that includes filing the petition, doing what's necessary to get that filed, and to review the 849 or 843 document. So, but it is a capped amount, and if there's any more money for any reason that's spent at that firm, it'll have to be something that comes back to the commissioner's court. I'm not saying that's going to happen, I'm just wanting to point that out, that if there's any more money that is to be spent on that, it will come back to the commissioner's court and would require a new agreement with them that is strictly capped at filing.
And this is something that we couldn't apply for ourselves, or we couldn't send in ourselves.
From what I understand, it's a petition I think is filed really by an attorney that the CPA firm has on staff there to do that.
Rick Lars, the attorney, he specializes in tax law.
So if your question is whether Rebecca and I could do it, no.
No one in our office
Any
has
kind of
tax certification.
or experience, so no, we could not.
Ronnie, did you have done it?
I told the court that day that was kind of the path that the court had taken. My discussion with David Skinner, chief counsel at the IRS, was file Form 843 with your 4669. GP&P chose not to do that. They chose to file a document that's, I haven't seen it, but I believe it was, what they filed was an offer in compromise. And an offer in compromise normally is used when you owe the IRS money and you're asking them to settle for less. So, I'm not, I don't know why they went that way,
But you had conversation with the IRS, and they is that we could file the form ourselves.
Yeah, you got David Skinner, as chief counsel, IRS, Washington DC, tells me, do this. Now that we have this, and once I get GP&T to do their free review or additional comments, once we're satisfied that it's good to go, then I'll get a copy of this to David Skinner and see if he can get it into the pipeline in a specific way, so that it's not just showing up in Austin, Texas, or it's not just showing up in Ogden, Utah. I'll get with David and see if we can get it into the Treasury Department and get it expedited.
Any other questions? I don't think we need it.
No, I don't need it. I just want to make, before I went any further, it's just been a couple of weeks since we talked about it. We have all the work done. I wanted to get this and get this money in by. I appreciate the court's time this morning.
Thank you for your hard work.
Number 8 is Chief Beavers, who's going to discuss with us and ask us to approve a Texas Department of Transportation request to replace a UHF repeater with equipment on the old radio tower located at 3001 South Washington Street in Kaufman, which is the old South Campus.
That is correct. Thank y'all this morning. Been working with Texas Documents, y'all work with all the time with them, and they're needing a place to put a VHF repeater to communicate with their trucks out in the field. I talked with George and IT, made sure that this UHF is not going to interfere with any of our equipment or anything out there. They believe there's no problems at all. The only thing that we're waiting for is Michael's supposed to be getting a interlocal agreement, so Rebecca, and that's what we're waiting for. Then I think everything is good. We're just waiting for the approval of the DA's office to look at the legal document and approve it. That's good.
What I would ask the
Well, I'd love to have it, but if for some reason it's delaying the outer ring project and it's going to cost additional funds, I mean, our agreement is not exchanging funds in any way, so I don't see how the impact, what impact it would have if we vote on it today and then get it later. I've been communicating with them for a month and a half, maybe a month, and it's just taken forever for the tech stop to get that to me. I think they sent it to their legal department and then it got stuck.
But like I say,
There's no exchange of
there's
funds.
no change of funds or nothing. It's just, I think we're waiting for it. And I think that Rebecca likes the document, and I think with the approval. Yes, with the approval of the DA. Waiting after the DA's approval.
other questions. All right, could I have a motion in this regard? Have a motion from Commissioner Allen, to have a second.
Should the motion include the language?
After the DA's approval, yes. The DA's approval.
Put that in motion.
Yes.
Okay. So have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item is from Pam Carter to discuss and consider approving a 2017 Kaufman County resolution for indigent defense employment grant.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope y'all had a great weekend. Thanks for all me. So this morning we're going to, I'm here to get you to approve the resolution for the formula grant. It's a defense formula grant for the indigent defense. It's based on each county's eligible spending as well as the updated population figures. So the actual amount, we won't hear from, to get that exact amount until December. The paper I just gave you shows what we received in 2005. And you can look back and see what the other amounts were.
You mean 15?
15. Yeah, 15.
You moving back down.
Oh, way back.
She's in back there.
What about when we started this?
We were in Louisiana all weekend, so
near the cost of our indigent defense program. That's one of the things we'll be looking at here in a little bit, is resolution urging the legislature to fully fund that this next year. But certainly this bit of money that we have here is important to us. So we have questions of Pam or anybody? All right, good to go. We have a motion from Commissioner Shane to approve. We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Thank you. Next item is the number 10, to discuss and consider approving the request for Atmos Gas and Pipe to do a direct assessment of Forney to Terra located in the Kaufman County precincts number 2 and precincts number 3.
Curious as to what exactly this is.
Yeah, me too. What's a
What's a
direct
direct,
assessment?
I don't know what a direct assessment is.
They drill a little bitty pinholes where the gas lines on the test to see if it's big. When they're going down the pipeline, they drill like a less than a quarter-inch hole in that fill line.
So they're
In
just,
the road?
Yeah, they go down the pipeline every so many feet, so if it gets in the
Pipeline
roadway.
on the road?
Yeah, it goes under it, where it crosses the road. You know, like it crosses, it crosses range, it crosses Ranger, it crosses, you get there and then it crosses, Kaufman or something like that. And then, you know, it just keeps on going, and they just drill these little quarter-inch holes. Cause I asked them the same thing, or half, whatever. And they develop that, and they fill them in. They do it every 10, 15 feet, whatever. I don't even remember them.
So this is your agenda item?
Yeah, they said it.
Pipeline they're talking about sits up on the Highway 80, just west of Cheryl there, just before you get to the natural business park. It's the big.
Is that a green line?
The header
Yeah.
start over there to the right and go all the way back across. All of the, some color back over.
Yeah, actually, it crosses more big roads than this one. I just put it on there for both of us.
So that kind of keeps y'all in idea where it's at.
Use a road list and all that.
Is there any kind of formal agreement we need, ladies?
I don't think so. I mean, we can't obviously restrict anyone from driving on our roads. They're more than welcome to drive on them.
They're gonna bore our road.
And they're not saying that they're boring into the right of way,
No,
so
they're
they're
not.
looking for
They're not doing it.
permits.
This is just to check their pipelines on this one.
Those things are normally traced under the road, I'm just not sure what happened, told.
But they might not even hit one into the road. It might just, every so many feet, they do it. To test for the practice, I guess. You know, they have all these explosions everywhere. I said, that's testing.
Sounds like,
I don't want anybody there with blowing up, trying to leak.
sounds like a good idea.
Well, this is good, but the one thing I will say, we found a pipeline that's been abandoned in the northeast part of our county, in 347. It comes back all the way up almost into, Carroll. It's just been abandoned, it's laying there. So we're gonna try to talk to Steve about doing something about it.
Yeah, they talking about bond, that's a dead pipeline, we can't sit there.
Exactly.
Usually they open them on the end.
Okay, so,
I'm not good idea, man. That's what we should
Yeah, right.
all right, we have a motion from Commissioner Shane.
I would just recommend that the road crews make sure that they're notified and that you can kind of keep track of where the activity is per precinct so that if there is anything strange happening, you're aware of it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever even know it's happening, but, because I don't know how they, I don't know how they, I mean, we know about it. We look where the cross is.
Yeah, I would just keep an eye on everything.
They're not gonna hurt Rita Road. Put the half-inch hole in it. Believe me.
You're gonna see that, right, so I think that's.
Yeah, that'd be a big spot on it. They might even hit the city part, they might not even hit the county part.
All right, so there we have a
I'll
motion.
second.
Commissioner Shane, second from Commissioner Phillips. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you very much for kind of clarifying that.
27 to 28 to the rock pit, 2.7 tenths of a mile. And Trinity, furnished the product to the motion to do the road bridge, and they also furnished the aggregate and the chip seal to do the road. So
All we do is labor.
all we do is, we do that for the next 25 years. They always furnish the,
Pay for all the roads.
they'll pay for whatever we need for time.
And this is the first amount that we've received from the right now. You know, I think I remember seeing the ad by your opponent when he was running against you that we received $90,000 and it was unaccounted for. Is that a true statement?
I see that, but.
So you didn't receive $90,000 in the
If I
pay?
did, I'd share it with you. Of course, no, we did, this is what we got.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we accept the donation from Trinity Materials.
We have a motion from Commissioner Raleigh, do we have a second? Commissioner Shane, second. Let me ask one
Lisa?
question.
We need to record that.
Pardon?
When y'all receive something as a donation, we have to record that, because it's over $5,000. We have to record it as a donation.
So that would be great, and yeah.
Yes, sir, I can handle that.
It's cold in your sock for Christmas.
Excuse me, Judge, but I was just making sure Lisa was aware it was a donation and it was over 5,000, so it could be recorded. Okay? And see, we won't have a receipt, so we have to use the approved minutes as backup to record that as
You're
a
gonna send
donation.
them
You follow me, Lisa? I figured you did. I just wanted to make sure you caught it.
And we send a letter for the donation.
I have a question about donations like that. Do we accept the donation before they give it to us? Is this something that they're gonna give to us?
No, they've already paid the bill.
They've already paid for it.
We're just following up because we didn't know what the amount was gonna be.
No, I know. I'm just asking the question.
And this is clean.
Because I've got somebody else that's gonna give me some material. I'm just curious. It's okay. I mean, you just think it. We don't have to say anything about it until after we've accepted it.
Especially if we don't know how much it's going to be.
So road materials is kind of a special area of donations, because oftentimes you don't know the exact amount. And I'd like to have on the court's record the exact amount so that for IRS purposes it matches up. If you would like to accept it prior to something happening, that's fine as well. We've done that in the past. We just amend the donation later on with the exact amount. I think whenever you guys were getting materials from
We
somewhere.
were gonna get some materials, but it never came
happened.
about, so we didn't need anything.
That's the procedure that we did.
And this was a contract.
Yeah, especially.
Agreement way in advance.
Especially like if it's a piece of land or something like that, they might not have the value, so you'd have to go like and get fair market value
Right.
to report it.
Yeah.
We have to have some kind of number.
I just want to know for my own sake.
Oh, yeah,
If
I
I need to put
understand.
it on beforehand. I remember us talking about this a long time ago, but I don't remember, you know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, there was an agreement, I believe, that
Oh, we
we
had
entered
an
into
agreement, yeah.
several months ago, or a couple of years ago.
But then I've been told, because I had a chance to get an agreement on mine, and I told my DA's office, can't have an agreement on it.
It's not an agreement, it's you're approving a donation, you're accepting a donation. We're not making a contract in any way. They're just giving road material money for a specific road. And there's a difference, and that's why it's a
So I was
donation.
getting confused, it says I can't have an agreement, and I can't do a contract with somebody, I accept it and do it afterwards. Okay.
You can
I'm
accept
good.
it.
That's
When
my-
we come to court, we did a contract with these people for 25 years. And then we,
Yeah, he's not talking about this one, he's talking about for in the future.
Yeah.
If we have the possibility of getting some donations, is it required that we come to court first before we accept the donation, before we know the
And off
amount?
the top of my head, it's not coming to me, but how I would do it, yes, I would bring it first and say road materials, the amount, to be specified.
Estimate.
And give an estimate, and then put it back on, if the court accepts that donation, then send it back to the consent agenda and say, this is the amount that amended, receipt of that donation, and then send it back over, make sure Karen and Lisa have it, because there's our department, they're gonna cross-check. And then it gets correctly, distributed to the IRS.
Well,
if they
sometimes,
match it
like,
up.
last year, we had a guy call us, come get it today.
Yeah, there's a timing issue,
Yeah.
and then you can accept it,
Right.
that's perfectly fine. I mean,
But
you don't
then
have to
as soon as
forget
we
it
can,
somewhere.
You can't accept it.
I mean, you just,
Okay.
don't not get.
They don't mean to get
it's just,
paid
you've
on
got a
things.
lot of
It's
different
just-
options.
Always say it after the fact.
Since it was here.
But, I mean, if you're talking like a year later and you know the amount, then that's another thing.
Yeah, okay. We got it.
All right, before we vote, we've got a motion and a second on the table. Ladies, in the DA's office, can you go back and review the document that the court approved back, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago then, on 346, where it's between Trinity Materials and the county, that they would manage the road, or they would furnish materials and maintain the road for a 25-year period.
I wasn't aware of that.
We weren't aware of it, but something like that we want to be aware of,
Actually, I
because
think John Long was in on it.
Yeah, I think so.
When John was
we
here, so.
really
It was.
want to.
Don't matter.
What we want in our office on that, because that becomes something that's really kind of an ongoing contract
Yeah, I
that
expect.
has got to be, and it probably is set up where if it's not timely, amounts received, it can be in breach. So what we would want in that situation, and we'll get with you, Commissioner, to make sure that our office has a file with a copy of that contract in it, and where it's basically docketed whenever those monies are supposed to be paid, so that we have a way of tracking it. Because sometimes that's kind of a problem in the county, not necessarily anybody's fault per se, but with change in commissioners, change in people in the DA's office, those are things that have to be docketed and kept up with through the years, so that people know that money is supposed to be paid and collected and doesn't just fall through the cracks.
Well, people change, the Trinity Materials, the same people that are there today, may not even be the same companies 25 years from now. I just want to make sure that,
APAC changed.
They're on the NASDAQ.
Now APAC's a plan.
So maybe we need to just kind of,
We need a system, and if there are other contracts maybe that people know about, where you have that file in the DA's office, and it's set up on a calendar and docketing system, where it's really where it's reviewed every year, or every,
Y'all don't need any more files, you don't have one.
but if not, it's something that nobody thinks about, and, just kind of eventually.
you just kind of stumble on this. I'm sure the county clerk probably has an official copy of the contract somewhere, I'm sure.
We'll get it from
Okay,
the
all
office.
right. So, that being said, any other questions before we vote?
Okay.
You remember what we're voting on now?
Yes.
All right, all in favor, say
Accept it.
those opposed. All right, thank you very much. Stand now to item number 14. And this is one of the ones I picked up when we were down at the conference in Galveston. And it deals, we had one resolution we've already passed, but this deals with the legislature. It's a resolution that the County Judges and Commissioners Association is asking courts all across Texas to pass on indigent criminal defense, that the state should be paying more. It's a huge unfunded mandate, one of our biggest ones probably.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, attached to it, county commissioners, judges, what I spoke in. Next recommendation, they do something.
We can do this, and we can also change this. This is just a form that we were sent. We can go ahead and change it, include everybody's name on it to send it in, so that there's no doubt that the court is labeled or supports this. So we'll do that. Do I have any questions about this item?
I think it'd be good if all of our signatures on here.
Yeah, I do think.
Everything's good.
Sure.
And so that All in favor, say aye. Next item is number 15, to discuss and consider approving line item transfers.
Good morning. You only have one line item transfer, and that was, the staff fund, where we keep the, sheriff's training monies that he gets. So in Fund 117, and that was the $24,000 investment. I was to cover your training.
I'll make a motion.
Second. I have a motion from Commissioner Phillips, second from Commissioner Allen. Do you have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Then item number 16 is to discuss, consider our bills, claim for payment.
Your claims for payment are $1,749,522.53. Employee insurance, this was $497,000. Road bond expenditures were $386,000. Road materials for precinct 1, 3, and 4 were $144,000. And that was the hugest bulk of the deals this time.
You ready for questions?
Yes, sir.
On the emergency check room,
Mm-hmm.
page 2, under the sheriff's fund, we've got Landry's Crab Shack. $335.61.
It has a different name on the check. I looked at that, that's what I was looking for. I was gonna say, I think Landry Crab Shack owns that hotel.
Oh, that's
Right.
It's a hotel.
That's what it is.
Well, it says something about hotels and lodging. I thought somebody
I know
had
it.
crab for
No,
I
I
called it a lodge
That
at the
was-
conference.
That's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
crab.
conference.
I said, man, and it was for one person. I said, he sure was hungry.
Yeah, he had a lot of crab.
I thought maybe it was for Randy.
And that's just one of those, that was one of those $39 things, where they filled it out, those put it in the system.
So that's like a corporation that owns a hotel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
They don't want any more of the sheriff department, get more crab.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah,
Rob?
on page 7, we've got a little deal down in miscellaneous. Says Alamo Realty Development LLC, who is that?
Do you know which packet it is? Let me look at what you're looking at, because I've got 7 packets. Sir? Yeah, I seen that. I'm going back to tell you what that is. Let me pull that and see what it is.
Alamo Realty Development, what is it? LLC, I don't know. She's looking.
I got one question. Ryan, you might be able to answer this on the, I guess it's the armory, the fence that they put up.
Now, that was Bobby Bridges, no?
Probably do that.
Mhm.
I just wondered if that amount included this. I guess we're gonna have a security gate.
It included, it was $1,000 difference
Okay.
on the PO, because Lisa and I got involved in that.
Okay, good, good.
The parking lot and the fence, looking pretty good out there.
Yeah, I want to commend Commissioner Phillips on the job he did on the parking lot.
That included the poles for the lights.
Yeah.
Up at the front, put the big metal T-poles up. God did a good job on the fence. Oh, look at that, look at that.
I think that.
It was
You
out
know
last
that. You know who I'm talking about now? Okay.
I'll get it for you, might never work for us again, so you couldn't check. Yeah, so.
We have other questions about the claim for payment. All right, executive session, we will take a quick 10-minute break and then come in and we will be discussing various executives session. As soon as we got the code 551, 071 consultation with attorneys regarding pending contemplating litigation on the settlement after offer regarding the litigation from Kaufman County, call number 93-42386. So we will come back and take both going to executive session and we'll take a quick break. Now we'll come back and go to the
Laura's not coming back, so don't wait for her.
She's not coming back.
We got something going on at our office there, over there, so I'm gonna finish it out.
Well, we need a motion to go into executive session, and I've already read the reason why, so do I have a motion? And the time is 10:33. Second. Have a motion from Commissioner Allen and a second. Commissioner Shane, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed.
You guys always beat me to the camera.
All right, we had a motion to exit the executive session
Okay.
at 10:57.
Okay.
No, 10:52.
Yeah, I just barely can't see it, 10:52. And, so we have that motion made by Commissioner Phillips and seconded by Commissioner Allen.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. And, so, next item is item number 3. I'm sorry, item number 4, to discuss and consider taking any action needed as a result of the executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to convey an authority to the DA's office to accept settlement offer regarding 1OK pipeline litigation and finalize settlement agreement.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Shane. We have a second. Have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, we will now move back to our regular meeting agenda, and item number 17 is to adjourn. Okay.
Angie said you wanted that.
Yeah, this is the, Angie went ahead and redid that thing, so we'll pass it around. We all have their 4 copies of the, before you leave, sign on the indigent defense lien. So we need a good motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Phillips. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed. Would it, on the workshop meeting or the canvas, could we start that at 8:30? Maybe it's going to be a special meeting.
Andy, right now.
Okay. If I don't forget, I'll do it.
I'll try not to do it.
Okay.
I'll break them for you.
Anything hot chocolate?
You go get it from back, Judge. They don't get excited, we're gonna let them bring it.
Okay. Whatever. We'll begin at 8:30 then, with the canvassing returns, and then we'll move into a workshop session and other issues that we have that we need to discuss. That's it. We're gonna meet Monday at 8:30. The canvass, the election returns.
Yeah,
They will inform you on the issues after they get it finalized.
Okay.
The DA's office will.
Yeah, we'll get a press release to the judge's office,
Okay.
but you can have access to it.
We're still finishing some of the settlement documents, so we just want to get those done before we make a statement. But we'll, we've got your information,
Yeah, judge has it too.
but we will issue